We live in Northern Virginia, outside of Washington, D.C., and this deal that I'm going to talk about is, for those of you who know the area, it's along Highway Route 1 near Fort Belvoir. One of the nice things about Fort Belvoir is because of the base realignment, about 36,000 jobs are moving there over the next few years. So that's a great area right now for finding places and rehabbing, and also for buy and holds. This deal we bought for $77,000. We sold it for $226,000. Our repair costs were a little over $50,000. Holding costs, which included, I broke down the cost there, included the cost of loans and closing costs, utilities, just all the nickel and dime, everything in there was a little over $22,000. We completed, the completion time was from closing to closing. So from when we purchased the property to when we actually closed on it and got our money. So it was 4 months, and our total profit on this was $76,400. So the next slide, and I'll give it a second just to come up. How did we find this deal? This was a probate property. One of the things I will say is we love probates. They are often, what we try to do is get to the seller before these properties are listed on the MLS. Most sellers will list on the MLS, but if you can get them first, very often you can get a great deal. We have found that in general they don't seem to have the emotional attachment, the heirs, the executors of the will to the price of the house. Often they're burdened by having it, especially as you'll see with this property, if it needs work, if it's cluttered. So it can often be a real win-win situation if you can make it easy for them, take it off their hands, and do cleanup and things like that. This particular deal, we searched through the county probate records and had sent a letter to the heir of the property. One of the interesting things, she held on to our letter. We actually sent her two, but it was 14 months before she ever contacted us. So one of the lessons is sometimes these sellers will wait a long time before they do contact you. I know she was thinking about, well, maybe she'd keep it, clean it up, rent it, but I think it got a little overwhelming. So being persistent is very, very important with these properties. Just give it time and keep trying to reach out to the sellers. And go on to the next slide. The negotiations. Brad, I really wanted my husband here to talk about this because he did get the call from her, but he's off, as Pat said, doing another presentation. But when he got off the phone, he said to me, this is a motivated seller. We really need to get right over and see that property. Our letter had said that we buy in any condition as is, and when she called us, her first question that she said to Brad was, you know, the letter says you buy it in any condition. Does that include really, really bad condition? So she almost seemed more concerned, would we take the property off her hands? He assured her, yes, we'll buy in any condition. So she was the heir, and at that point she just wanted to be done with it. So I think for her, more than getting the most possible money she could for the property, she just wanted to make it easy, and so we did that for her. So I think one of the things that we've certainly found over the years is when you have a motivated seller, you just really learn to recognize that. And in that case, it's not convincing them to sell it or anything. It's just having them trust you to understand that you're working for their interest as well to try to create a win-win. So it's, as always, and I don't do this well enough, but listen to the seller, find out what it is that they really want. So I'm trying to learn to do it better. In terms of negotiations, one of the things, the first bullet, hopefully that's come up on your screen by now, and it just says, before we purchased the house, we ran detailed comps, so we knew what it would sell for, what was its after repair value. And that probably sounds like, well, of course you would. Why wouldn't you? That is such a key point, and the very first thing that I did when we got into this real estate business was to get my real estate license so that I would have access to the multiple listing service. I really wanted to run my own comps if it was going to be our money or a lender that were investing on their behalf. I really wanted to make sure I knew what the property would sell for. And I know I do hear discussions at a lot of meetings sometimes, what are the pros and cons of getting your license? I really don't see many cons. I think it's a very important thing to do. And then we also estimated our repairs. We have been fortunate enough, we have a great general contractor. He's now done 7 or 8 houses for us. He's given us the formulas he uses, so he has, if he's going to renovate a full bath, we know what that is, what a half bath is, a kitchen of a certain size. So we just went through, when Brad went over there the first time, and was able to get a good ballpark estimate of the repairs. There was so much spread in this deal. If we were off by $5,000 or even $10,000, it wouldn't have mattered. Now, if it was a smaller spread, we do often get the contractor out there to actually provide us a hard estimate. But in this case, Brad did those estimates, and then he also has a spreadsheet that he just uses as another way of estimating that looks at the square footage, and it just has some parameters. Is this just cosmetic? Is this a basic rehab? Are you moving walls? Is this upper end? These are really calibrated to our area, and that's also been very useful. So the tips here is, first of all, get your real estate license. I can't emphasize that enough. And the other thing, whenever we run comps for a house that we're going to resell, I think days on market is critical. And right now in the D.C. area, there are some neighborhoods where you have plenty of rehab, nicely renovated houses sitting there. There are other neighborhoods where they're gone in 0, 1, 2 days. So to me, that's a really important risk mitigator. If I have a property that I know is in demand, then I just feel much, much better about it. And that's as important to me as what the after repair value is that I get from my comps. And I'm advancing now. Again, it might take a couple of seconds. How did we fund the deal? Okay, well, happily, we didn't use any of our own money, which is nice. And we used 2 private lenders. We have worked with several different hard money lenders in the past. We've had good experiences, but we keep wanting to diversify into other lenders just so that over time we can get better terms, etc. The first lien was for $80,000, and that's basically what we used to purchase the property. Remember, that was $77,000. This was a neighbor, and we wanted to just, he was a little, I'd say, happy to do it, maybe a little nervous. We wanted to make it worth his while financially, so we paid him 4 points, 12%. And then we also had a second lien from someone else who used $50,000 from their self-directed IRA. So that IRA was earning a nice secured, again, it had the second position on the title, nice 12%. One of the other things I wanted to say as a tip, we now take before and after photos of all our rehabs. We even take videos at various parts of the process. It is a wonderful thing to be able to show private lenders or potential private lenders, because it makes the whole process very, very concrete. And just recently, Brad was at a neighborhood meeting and got chatting with a few people who asked, well, what are you doing these days? And he said, well, we're rehabbing real estate, and we also like to share the wealth with friends and neighbors and so on. And we had a neighbor who actually wanted to come over and hear more about what we were doing. So Brad and I sat down and showed him some before and after photos, and he said, well, I have $400,000 I took out of the stock market. I want to invest with you guys. So it can really just be a great tool to give credibility to what you're doing. So as you do your rehabs, get those photos. Okay, so we'll give this a few seconds. You can see what this property looked like. So assuming it's come up, or if it does in a minute, you'll see a picture right in the middle, shows a hallway with lots and lots of stuff. This was definitely the house of a hoarder. And everywhere that you walked in that house, we were walking on 2, 3, 4 layers of stuff. So you can see how this would not be an easy kind of property to list right away on the MLS. It wouldn't, a realtor probably wouldn't want it. It wouldn't even be safe to walk through. The picture on the left, the kitchen, and on the right, the bathroom, is after the clean out. So once we got rid of all the layers of stuff, you can see what we had. So the very first thing we did when we got this property was to hire a clean out crew. They specialize in that, and they've done that before, and that was just very, we really needed that, very, very essential. But one of the things I will say also about probate houses is sometimes you find some kind of nice things that are left there and the heirs don't want. This house had a very nice upright piano that's now sitting in our living room. So, that was nice. I will advance on to the next slide. The other thing, rehab management. One of the things that we've learned, we didn't used to do this, but we would get our general contractor in to look at a property and to give us an estimate. But then a few times he does excellent work, as you'll see, but when it came to selling the property and the buyers came in with their inspector, or it could be an FHA lender with the FHA inspector, and there just might be little things that are important to them that we would then have to go back and, of course, get fixed. So we thought, let's get a good inspector in there. Let's really spend some time with that guy, and just so we didn't, all the issues, all the good and warts of the house. And so in my realty career, I've run across, I think, some good inspectors and not so good. So one that I really liked a lot, we now use with our homes, with our properties, and we just shadow him we spent 3 hours in this property, and we really look everywhere. And the nice thing about this property, in spite of the cosmetic issues it had, it was actually very, very sound property. In fact, there were a few pleasant surprises, one of which is we put in a half bath downstairs, and when the contractor, when it was on this property on a concrete slab, went to dig up the slab, it was already rough plumbed for a bathroom. So, sometimes you find good things as well. So the tip here is just, I really think it's been money well spent. We've learned so much from that inspector. Okay, so we're going to the next one. The rehab itself was extensive. We, I think, did everything but the roof and the siding. I mean, we did windows and flooring and added 2 half baths. The bathroom, there was one existing full bath which was renovated, the kitchen, pretty much everything. And so he does, I think it's really important to pull all the required county permits. He did that. It will slow down the rehab, but it's really, really important to do, and it's important to sell. There are other rehabbers in our area who don't do that, but that's one of the ways we try to distinguish ourselves is we have those permits right up on the counter when this is being sold, so they can see this was all done with to code and everything. In terms of our contractor and management, we are very lucky to have the guy we have. We found him through another investor who had recommended him. He is an investor himself, the general contractor. He really understands where to put money and where it really pays off. And he just does really a great job. I've never had issues with him. He does it for the job he says. He'll always come back and fix something and make it right through an inspection. So that has taken so many headaches away from us. So the tip here is when you find somebody good, treat them well. I always make sure he's paid right away. In fact, recently the current lender for a house we're doing was way out of town, and our contractor asked for a draw. I went and just pulled it out from our bank and then got reimbursed from our lender. I just thought it was that important to pay him quickly. I want him to always want to do our job. So now here come the pictures, and it might take again a few seconds to come up, but I hope you can see that. If you remember what this place looked like. And one of the things that this contractor is so good at is kitchens, and of course we've all heard that kitchens sell, and they do. So you just have to think this property, 229 $229,000 is a very modest price property for the Washington, D.C. area. The average price, even now, I think, is about $300,000. So these will appeal to a first-time home buyer, but they love the luxuries as much as anybody else does. So one thing this contractor did, I hope you can see my cursor here in the kitchen, is he actually opened it out more and put in a breakfast bar. So the kitchen was bigger. We generally do diagonal tile. It's just a nice little more custom look to it. He does backsplashes, custom backsplashes with little designs. We always go with granite. And I will say, when I go and one of the things I always do when you have your realtor's license, it's a great thing to do is go check out the competition. So go look at other renovated houses that you're going to be competing against. And when I see houses that, when I see properties where people have obviously done a nice job, put a lot of money in, but then they have laminate counter, I mean, I just don't quite understand that because at least with our contractor, it's only a few $100s more to do the granite. The granite's gotten cheaper. Laminate has a fair amount of labor with it, so we always go with granite, stainless steel. And another thing I wanted to point out is we do minimal staging, but we do stage, so we don't have furniture in here or anything like that. Brad and I went to Target a while back, and we just bought fake flowers and plants and welcome mat and just little knickknacks, the fruit and that kind of thing. We have it in a nice plastic organized box, so we just take it into a property, and then we can pick it up and move it out when we're done. But it's just to stage the kitchen and also the bathroom, so we have little soaps in here and everything, just gives someone the feeling they can really imagine this as a home. And this particular property, I actually had a neighbor do for me because I saw a home that I had found for them as a realtor that they rehabbed, and she did such a beautiful job staging. I said, look, I'll pay you to do this. Oh, no, I love doing it. So if your talent isn't decorating, get someone who is good at that and enjoys it and take them out to dinner, or they may just do it because they think it's fun. But anyway, this is the floor we put in downstairs, the wood floor, new carpeting, etc., a lot of recessed lights. And now I will move on to the next one. How did we sell the deal? All right, listed it on the multiple listing service. I was the listing agent. And I already talked about staging. Hopefully your slides come up by now. This we received, this was actually a little more frenzied than I wanted in terms of offers, and it even surprised me. I put this on the market on a Sunday. I don't normally, I would rather do it on a Thursday in general, but I thought let's just get it on the market because I have found, again, by looking at days on market, if I find neighborhoods where properties that are renovated go quickly, I have found there's always one or two agents who are just looking there with a buyer in mind, and they will get over in the first few hours and put in an offer. So we had 2 offers in the first day, and then we had 4 more over the next couple of days, so that we had 6 total. They were all more than our asking price. And, you know, it might sound great, let's let this bid up forever, but these are all FHA or VA buyers, and, you know, they need, with their lenders, the house has to appraise. So it makes no sense to have it go up to the sky, because if it doesn't appraise, then the person might not be able to buy it unless, you know, they're a cash buyer or something. But with these first-time home buyers, they're not, believe me. So one of the things I also wanted to say as a tip that I always do is put together a little package for the appraiser, and I leave it right in the kitchen with big letters on an envelope for the appraiser. And what I do is I just list out all the improvements we made, approximately how much we spent. So on this I'd say, and we spent over $50,000 to renovate it. I include comps. And then I usually have a statement in there that just says, you know, we have found in this area rehabbed properties, nicely rehabbed properties are in great demand. They go quickly. We got, you know, in this case, 6 offers in the first 4 days, all more than our asking price. So I'm just doing that. I'm doing that appraiser's work for them. And so far, I have never run into a problem with an appraiser. And I just think that package really, really helps. So let's see, I've already mentioned we cater to the first-time home buyer, and they do love the extra luxury items. I just think, they just fall in love with the place. Okay, so here's a tip, and this is a matter of opinion. I know some rehabbers who like to start showing the property when they're rehabbing it, and they feel they can tell potential buyers, look, you can choose the granite or this or that fixture. I don't do that. I have really, it's my opinion that your property is going to be the most valuable the first day it goes on the market. And a really good piece of advice I got from another investor early on was you want to price this property to generate excitement. If you price it right, you might even be able to get a bidding war going. Because I said to him, well, wait, I'd feel really bad if my property sold like in 4 days and I feel like I could have gotten more money. He said, no, it's worth the most as soon as it goes on the market. So we have it professionally cleaned. Brad and I go over there, we check out everything, we just make sure it looks perfect. And then it goes in the MLS, and we've just had very good luck with that strategy. So I think I said everything I wanted to, and I'll just open it up for questions, and thank you for listening.